Venite soltemus Domino, jubilemus Deo salutari nostro. Preoccupebus faciem meius in confessione, et in psalmis jubilemus ei. Quoniam Deus Magnus Dominus et Rex Magnus.
Hello and welcome to River West Flowing. I am your host, Michael Dyer. Our usual host, Bill Godomsky, likes to do paranormal programs once in a while, so I guess that makes me your paranormal host. And I have with me today two paranormal guests. As you'll soon find out, they truly are not normal. We have with us today the renowned psychic in Chicago, Jorianne. And one thing I want to say about psychics that we normally are used to is that they give readings. And a reading consists of some sort of modus operandi, crystal ball, tarot cards, tea leaves, something of that sort, in which they can see pictures and patterns that relate to their client's life in terms of love, relationships, money, work, things of that sort. Jorianne's mode of doing that is a cup of coffee, in which she sees patterns in the bubbles in the coffee and how the dollops of cream that she pours into the coffee, the way it swirls, and the pictures that she sees there. That's how most of Chicago has known Jorianne, is through her readings on the many radio programs, TV programs, and personal appearances that she has made over the years. But a very good psychic has abilities and awarenesses that they employ in other ways, and it's these other ways we want to explore today. The title of the program is The Presence of Other Worlds, and Jorianne has a way of accessing and gaining information from those other worlds as they impinge upon our world. Specifically, we want to look at what's called in our day and time channeling. So I want to welcome Jorianne to the program. Hi, Jorianne.
Good morning.
And Jorianne has brought with her someone who has assisted her many times in this thing called channeling, many times over many years, her oldest daughter, Terry Doolin Dilly.
Good
Welcome,
morning.
Terry.
Hello.
So actually, I guess that makes you the coffee psychic.
Yes.
And as an assistant, you would be the coffee sidekick.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm sure you've seen on bookstores, on book stands, a lot of black and yellow books that are called the Dummy Series. Microsoft for Dummies, Computers for Dummies, Magic Tricks for Dummies, Classical Music for Dummies. So I kind of like to think of our program today as channeling for dummies.
And you know, that's a good way to put it, too. That's a good way to put it.
Not that the people out there are dummies, but let's just pretend that nobody knows anything about channeling. So let's really get into channeling and find out what the basics are, what happens, what it's like, why we're doing this, why you do channeling. So let's start with what is channeling?
Okay. Channeling is a process by which a person would need to be a medium. Okay, that's what you're called, is the channel, the medium, where they allow the higher world entities to speak through them using their body and their mind to give information across to the people, to the seekers. That's what channeling is.
Now you said the word medium. This
Yeah.
brings up visions in my mind of the late part of the 19th century, the early part of the 20th century, when we had people who were mediums, gave seances, and everything was in black, and trumpets and strange spirits could be seen floating around the room, and pretty soon that was all found to be fraudulent. Is another name for channeling that of being a medium?
Two things. Yes, it is still mediumship, okay? But that we can expound on that. But all of it wasn't found fraudulent. Not all of it was.
Okay.
But they did put a big kibosh on it. And it seems to have, come back into play now in these later years, in these more recent years. The way I separate the difference between channeling and mediumship is the channeling seems to be where you're allowing the higher world intelligences to speak through you. And to me, the difference with the mediumship is when I'm going to talk to your father who's dead, or my mother or father who's dead, allowing those that have had earthly incarnations make contact with them, either for me to go into an altered state and to see them on the side and explain what they're doing, give their personality, or to allow them to use my vocal cords and to communicate with you. Whereas the difference with the higher world intelligences is that some of them have had incarnations here and some of them have not. And they're very highly evolved entities, and they will bring through information. And that process I've been doing for about 15 years. And the main entity that I started working with is called Raha.
So the higher intelligences speaking through you, that would be channeling.
Yes.
The mediumship is really getting in contact with people who used to live here, have passed
Right.
on, and we want to contact Aunt Martha and see how she's doing. And
Exactly.
so you actually can do both.
Yes.
Ah. Okay. Where should we go from here?
Well, let me tell you, the mediumship work that I've been doing, I actually started that more recently within the last 2 years. Because it was, it's something that I've actually had experiences with for the last, since my father died. When my dad died years and years and years ago, and I don't remember how many years ago it was, I don't know, maybe 20 years ago, I was talking on the phone with my sister, and one day I had the sense of my father coming over me, and I just suddenly felt like my dad, and I started to speak to my sister, and I shut that down because it frightened me so, and that was the first experience that I'd had with mediumship work. And then I told her, what I'd seen and what he was going to say and everything like that. But at that time, it was very scary. So that was the first experience that I had with mediumship, somebody talking through me, wanting to use my vocal cords and taking over the body.
If that was a scary experience, wouldn't that sort of drive you away from ever wanting to go near that again? What finally brought you back to saying, okay, I think I'm ready to trust this process and allow it to happen?
Well, first off, I wasn't sure what had happened. And then after years, after getting into mediumship work, the channeling work, I was able to put my finger on it. It's like, oh, that's what that experience was. And the need that I have, that I want to help other people with their problems that they have in this life. I'm a helper. The fact that a lot of people are still uncertain about life after death, and this process actually helps people come to terms with, yes, we do not die. Our physical body comes to an end, but we continue to move on. And to prove it, here's Mom. And this is what Mom is saying, and this is what happened right before she died, or this is this, and then she's telling you something else, and it's like, that's Mom. So it really helps people come to terms with the loved ones that they've lost, that life does continue on, and what should we be doing right now in our lives to prepare for that experience as well.
What kinds of things have happened? I mean, can you give us a story in which, if I were to hear you say some things, I would think, oh, that sounds like my father. How would I know for sure?
One of the experiences that I had, and my daughter and my assistant were there at the time. We had a husband and wife that came in, and the one woman was looking to speak with her sister. Do you remember that? Mm-hmm. Okay. And the most amazing things that happened, the husband wanted to make contact with his mother. So I'm in the trance state, I'm in the altered state, and suddenly, you know, the mom is like, okay, you kids. And she always called them kids, you kids, okay? And she was telling him how I get to dance now, and I'm on this cruise liner, and it was so wonderful, and she was having a ball. And when I came out of trance, now of course, Terry gets to see their reaction right away. I'm in an altered state. I mean, my eyes are closed. I'm normally not in my body when I'm in a channeling state. So Therese was able to see the responses that these people had during that time. But when I came out, they told me that the mother had always wanted to take a cruise. That's all she ever talked about. Plus, she had polio. So dancing to her was a real big deal. So, and then there was, in the same situation, the one woman, the sister, had said, oh, I saw so-and-so on the other side. And they said, you saw who? And it was the name of a man. And this man had actually, she said, oh yeah, he gives great back rubs. This man that crossed over was actually somebody that had transmitted a disease to this woman, and in that process she had left the earth plane.
So there's enough information as well as personality characteristics that come through that allows the person to say, oh yeah, how could that be anybody else but my mother or my whoever they're talking to? Totally. Interesting.
Yeah.
You mentioned the word trance, which for some people is kind of a scary thing. I know that the medical or more scientific community now essentially wants to call that a state of very deep relaxation. Let's get into that. What happens? What do you do? What does it feel like as you get into that process?
Okay, for me, and I don't know what it's like for any other channelers, for me when I first learned this, what I do is I go into a relaxed state, almost like a self-hypnosis state, and I go through my body, through my chakra system, and of course the chakras are the energy centers that correlate to the endocrine system in the physical body that are in the astral body. So I go ahead and I energize
now remember, this is a show for dummies.
For dummies, okay.
So,
we have our physical body, which is this. We have our spiritual body also, which is our astral body. And the way I explain it to people is if you look at the Earth, say if we have a satellite looking down at the Earth, you see the physical Earth, and then you see the atmosphere, which is the cloud around it, okay, that covers the Earth. That's what we have, you know, permeating through our body and emanating out of our body. Okay, it's called the aura.
Okay.
In this auric body, in the spiritual body, you have what's called the chakra system, and it's 7 centers of energy. They're vortexes where the energy just pulsates, and if you, of course, keep them energized and cleared, that keeps you balanced. Okay. These centers correlate to the endocrine system in the physical body. So when people meditate, they really want to meditate on their chakras and balancing themselves spiritually. When I go through the meditation process, I go into a meditative state. I energize each center. And as I'm energizing each center, I start psychically or spiritually going up to a level in which I can meet my guides. I'm trying to change the vibrations of my body. Okay, so I can go up at a level where they are coming down, and somewhere in between them coming down and me coming up, we make contact. And then in that process, my eyes start to quiver, and it's just something that's happened with my body. And I used to be a little apprehensive. I was like, oh my God, you know, what are people, my eyes are going like 240. What are people thinking? And it's like, oh, well, you know, they're going to think what they're going to think. And so I go through this physical part where my eyes start to quiver. Then I'll start clearing my voice. And my daughter can even explain if we have a chance to do a process today, if we have that within our time limit, I'd love to do that. And then my daughter can explain, there you go, and my daughter can explain what I'm going through. And many times, Teresa's my assistant, people will want to ask questions. And in that question part, the spirits will start to answer. Well, they answer a little more slowly. They take time to answer. And Therese will have to be the person to, slow the people down or tell them to wait, because the spirits can answer one question, they'll ask another, but they really haven't completed and they want to add something else. So she helps with that process. So that's basically what I go through. I change my vibrations to make contact with the spirits. They come down, I go up or I go out, and then we make contact. So I let them speak through me.
Okay, now, when you say you go out, where you, the you, that's Jorianne, you go out of your body?
My state of consciousness, my state of who I am, allows these people to come in and use my body for work.
Right, where do you go?
I sometimes will step over to the right a little bit. Now, many times I'm still partway in my body, or sometimes I'm all the way out of my body. When I'm out of my body, there is no sense of time. I couldn't tell you any time at all. I personally, my awareness is that I'm in a pure state of white light when I'm out of my body.
Okay. So if we take a half hour or an hour talking to the spirits, you have no idea whether it's a couple minutes or it was an hour?
Right. There is no sense of time for me when I'm out of my body channeling.
Maybe we could take all day. Okay.
There you go. I could. No, that's the interesting thing. The spirits protect me. And the spirits will say when the session is over, they will sit there and say, this session has ended, or you may ask one more question. They're very protective.
So they're watching out for you in your energy state, and it's like, okay, you've just about expended all of the energy that it takes.
That it takes.
Okay.
I actually had, I had been channeling for a woman one day, and her husband, in an angry state, was coming to the door knowing what was going on, and it's just with the situation that happened. And my spirits were like, you're coming out now. And that was it. And, and I actually was able to detect this person pulling up in their car. And it was like, okay, time to end this right now. And I came out of trance, and then the person was knocking on the door.
Okay, so Spirit said, okay, it's time for you to get out. In the meantime, you're standing outside of your body, and the you that's outside of your body saw the car coming up, or?
Was able to somehow detect, yes, that energy coming.
This was happening.
The sense of negative energy coming. And it's like, okay, come back in. And so the session is over.
Now, when you say you're outside, I mean, like, are you, like, standing right next to it? Can you look down and see your body?
I would say, do you remember when I explained to you about the astral body?
Right.
Okay. I would say my astral body is able to move over and make room for somebody else to come in and use this physical space. Because sometimes they'll be like, wow, they'll like want to touch or something like this, okay? So I'm actually able to step out a little bit. They come through, use the body for however long, and then when the session is over, then I come back in, and I've got to stretch, and I've got to get myself reoriented to my physical body again.
So once you get out of your body, you don't see it like this table and the two of us sitting here. You actually see nothing but kind of like white light, you're saying.
White light. I stay in a state of white light.
Okay.
Now, the other interesting thing is that when I started doing the mediumship work, okay, which to me I have separated from the channeling work, what I found to be interesting is that I will have to shoot in and out now. The higher entities will come in, so I move over, they start to speak. The person will ask for Aunt Betty. And then my state of consciousness, like this little detective now I've got to look out for Aunt Betty, okay? So I somehow have to come back in, and I'll say, okay, now I'm seeing Betty, and I'm describing what she's looking like, what she wears, things like this. Then we get a little bit, and they said, well, what is Aunt Betty saying, blah, blah, blah. Well, she liked her funeral, she loved the rosary, whatever.
Oh, so Aunt Betty doesn't talk to us. You're the go-between between Aunt Betty and us?
Yes, sometimes.
Okay.
It starts out as the go-between. Then I'm sitting here describing this, describing that. Then sometimes Aunt Betty will just start talking, or a dead husband.
Oh, sometimes you allow Aunt Betty to come in and talk.
Yes.
Or I should say, you don't allow it, the spirits allow it. It's okay for Aunt Betty to speak?
That in some fashion, it's okay.
Okay, suppose it's Uncle Harry who is a real kind of a jerk, and it's like, I don't know if we ought to have Uncle Harry's vibes talking through you.
Right.
They won't allow it?
They would not allow it,
Okay.
because we only allow that which is of the highest of the white light of the Christ consciousness to come through.
Okay.
And I have my protectors and my angels and my guardians around me. But I have had, dead relatives like Uncle Harry, and they say, old Uncle Harry isn't any smarter dead than he is alive. So we say, don't try this at home. unless you had training, things like that.
Because Uncle Harry might not have reformed yet.
That's right, that's right. That's why we work by the book. We work by our rules, our books, okay? This is the Holy Bible, of course. And so you call in your guides, you call in the protecting
how many
angels,
guys
things like that.
and I mean, how many are around you protecting? Do you have any ideas? Is 3 or 4 or
actually,
100
right now,
or so?
I mean, just right now, what's coming to me is 11.
Oh, wow.
While we were
Okay.
talking right now. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to have 11 every day.
Yeah.
Okay? And spirit guides and angels, the spirit guides many times are going to come in while you have a lesson that you're working on. You know, you're assigned certain spirit guides when you're born. 1 or 2 of them will stay with you during your whole lifetime, and then you have those that'll come to you while you're learning lessons. And then when their job is done, you've learned, then they leave. Somebody else comes in, you've got a new lesson to work on.
Okay. Let's talk about the higher intelligences. I mean, I've got a pretty good idea about the dead relatives coming back. Who are these higher intelligences? Where are they? What is their origin? What is their purpose?
You know, that's a good question.
I thought
I
you'd like
believe
that
that these, yeah, I love it, actually.
Why I asked
And let's
it.
hope that they'll come and tell me. I believe that they are the hierarchy of the universe that helps run things, that keeps things in order. They come through because people are having trouble, they're having problems. You've got some of them that have come through for some of the very famous channels that have really been giving information to help raise the vibrations of this earth. Because according to some prophecies, things were looking pretty bad. And yet, by everyone coming into a different state of awareness, we're raising the vibrations of awarenesses of the people. That's where they're coming in to help with this process. So we can change what's supposed to be happening to the earth and keep us going and things like that.
So they're of a higher intelligence, higher vibration. Can we say, just, I mean, keeping it for dummies, they work for God?
I would say so. I would say for the universal creator.
How do we know, when you have an intelligence coming through speaking to you, how would we know that the information is good, it's very spiritually wise, as opposed to a lower entity?
Michael, I'm telling you, there is such a way that you can tell. Just like anything else, always go on your intuition, but this information is normally just full of love, it's full of wisdom. If anyone ever starts doing, say if they start, somebody starts wanting to channel, and they've got somebody that's, or if they're starting to automatic write. Now people need to know, automatic writing is the same as channeling. You're letting somebody come through, only they're coming through your hand. Now if you get somebody that's saying something really bad, or something, go ahead and do this, or that person's a jerk, or anything of a lower nature, right away you say, if you do not come in the name of God, you must leave now. You can just tell by the information that comes through, by the attitude that comes through. Their personality will be present. And for me, when I channel, many times my voice changes. People have said that actually the look on my face, it actually looks like somebody else has just totally come over me. Is that correct, Terry?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, how many times have you seen different energies come through me?
Every time you channel, it's always somebody different coming through. It's very fascinating.
Well, are there specific intelligences, I mean, a particular number that normally you channel? I mean, like your regulars?
Raha is a regular for me.
Okay.
Raha, that's the one that I normally go in and touch base with right
and Raha
away.
said this is what, I mean, how'd you find out it's Raha?
Because they ask.
Okay.
Like Terry, if somebody, if the sitter, if the person in the sitting doesn't ask, then Terry will ask.
Okay, and who or what is Raha?
Raha is again one of the higher guides that originally started out helping me do my work.
Was
And
he
then
ever on Earth, or was he ever a person, or do we?
I don't believe he's ever been on Earth.
So we don't have much history on him.
Not much, but I don't. The energy that I have from him is that he hasn't been here. I also have a master yin, and this is an Oriental master that's been with me.
Oh, his name is Yin.
Master yin.
Yeah, Master Yin. Okay. And any others that have a name, or?
And there have been some that have actually come through that have not given names because they don't have names assigned to them, right?
Yes.
They're just vibrations.
Oh, I
Exactly.
see. Yeah, we're very stuck on names. Give me
Right.
your name, and if it doesn't have a name, I get, yeah.
And
That'd
I've
make it
had
harder.
some say that they come from this level, and it's like, oh, okay,
Very
so-
nondescript. Wow.
yeah.
Do they have specialties? Like Raha talks about these kinds of things, and Master Yin talks about these kinds of things, and
You know, that's a good question. I have, I believe that Master Yin has been one that's been working more around the medical issues
Ah.
with me, because I've been doing, when I do my readings, things like that, I can, normally see in the body and pick out information, and so they will talk about medical things. And then Raha has been more basically psychological, spiritual.
do they have white skin, brown skin, blue eyes, brown eyes? Are they large or small, or?
I had one experience which I found to be very fascinating. I don't believe this happened by accident. I'd gone to a conference one day, and I was supposed to be doing a conference on, or workshop, excuse me, on depossession. Okay? Learning more about exorcism work, things like this. The teacher never showed up. Somehow, there was miscommunication. And the one lady and I, we had both been doing depossession work.
How convenient.
How did this happen? So there were 5 other women there. And we all decided, my spirit guides told me in the morning, don't have breakfast. And I'm like, but I'm hungry. And they're like, don't eat. And I'm like, okay. So I went here.
We've
and
got
of
work
course,
for you.
Yes, we work for you. The teacher doesn't show up. This other lady and I said, okay, we'll go ahead, and would you guys like to sit with us at a breakfast table? And we'll share with you what we know. Because these ladies had never known anything about depossession work. So in this process, we had breakfast, we chatted, we all decided to go into another room, and I was going to channel for the people. After the channeling, the one lady said, gee, it doesn't feel complete unless we we do a cleansing on the auras, the energy. And somebody requested that because I also do that with the healing work. So in the process of this, doing the cleansing of someone's aura, I had about a 7-foot, this spirit had to be 7 foot or taller. I don't think I've ever seen a taller spirit my whole life, that was behind me. And in the movie Ghost, when you see Patrick Swayze move into Whoopi Goldberg's body, that's what happened to me. So this entity came through me, and here he was. I was totally gone. This other lady was a healer, and in front of me, as I was talking, as the spirit was talking to her through me, I saw about 6 or 7 other spirits that were about 7 foot tall, and I'm going to tell you something. They did not look like they came from this planet. They were her spirit guides. They were saying, what's keeping you? What's taking you so long? We need you to do this. We need you to do that. Hurry, 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 blah, blah, blah. Giving her all sorts of information. It was the most gorgeous thing I've ever seen. They were beautiful. And when I was done with that day, when I had come back, I didn't come back all the way. They altered my vibrations in such a way that for 3 days, I was like, I don't want to say high, but feeling really good.
Well, if you take a 7-foot person and cram it into his big or small body, I mean.
And I felt very smart too. So it was a wonderful experience.
Do you see them entering you? I mean, do they come in from the back, or do they come in through the head?
I've had both experiences. I've had where they come down through my crown chakra, and then sometimes they have come through my back. So
And you can see them, or you simply feel them, or how?
I more feel them coming in. As a matter of fact, when I've had some people that have died in the past, they've actually come, and I've actually felt this like pushing on my crown chakra, and it's like, no, you cannot come in. No, you're dead now. You made your transition. You cannot come in this.
I want in.
I'm not your host, okay?
Now, when they start, okay, you feel them come in, but now the biggest thing is the use of larynx, lips, tongue, mouth, and they're going to talk.
Yeah.
And the voice might be different. What does that feel like? I mean, is there like an adjustment? I mean, anybody can go into another voice and talk like this, or talk like this, or
Yeah.
that sort of thing. I mean, is that what, does it feel like it's strained, like there's pressures?
That's exactly what it feels like. It's not a strain, it's not a pressure. I'm kind of like, I've already stepped aside. And they basically start saying, we're ready, or you may speak now, or whatever they say when they're ready to speak, when they're ready to hear you, when they're present.
Well, I guess what I'm asking also is, I see it in connected with automatic writing, and that is if I write, you know, I'm totally in control. If I allow automatic writing to happen, it's really difficult for me because it's like I have to give up control.
Exactly.
And yet I watch my handwriting. I mean, what's it like to sort of like give up control? And yet I sort of like, I don't know how I want to ask this. It's difficult to give up control over saying something and allowing something else to talk.
Oh, this is so perfect. That's the perfect question. One of the hardest things I've had to learn in my psychic work and my channeling work is not to judge or criticize any information that's coming through. So there's still a state of, when I've learned, you have to learn to totally let go and trust the process. Trust the process, because I can sit here and still have a part of me right here and saying, oh no, I can't say that. When I first started doing this work,
that's what I'd be going.
Oh, I can't say that. Oh no, that's going to sound so silly. And for me, you have to learn how to let it go, let it flow, and let it go.
Do you already know what thoughts they're going to say as it's coming through?
No.
Oh, you have no idea what's going to be said. It just happens as it happens.
Nothing. It just happens as it happens. And if I sit there and if my state of awareness, which is always still partway there, still, you know, this little watching, you've got to learn how to let that go. Don't analyze and do not criticize, okay? Because that's information that you're blocking then from them saying.
Right.
And that can interfere with the message that they are trying to give across to this person that's come to see you.
Now, I've talked with other channelers who have said they go off somewhere, and that's why I was kind of wondering what you do when you're out of your body. I mean, do you go shopping or something? But apparently you should stay right nearby. But the other channeler, she was just totally content to be by themselves and had no idea what was being said.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not even, when she came out, she had to ask, how was the session and what was said? She had to find out what the information. Is there ever a time when you're totally not conscious of what's being said or what the wisdom is?
I would say no. I would say pretty much I have a little recollection of some information, but not a lot. Because I won't remember, you know, what they said, things like that. And then if we discuss it afterward, then I can tell them, I like discussing the session afterward, because then I can tell them other things that I had seen as pictures on the other side, like in the mediumship, oh yeah, you know, she was wearing this or whatever, things like that.
Terry, I've known you for some time, and you seem to be a very well-adjusted woman. How did you get to be well-adjusted with a mother like this? What's it been like assisting her?
Wonderful. I think what she does is fascinating.
Have you had been at any times with her when strange things have happened that surprised you, or interesting pieces of wisdom that you picked up on that, like, wow, even you learned something? Or
The information that comes through her, I'm always learning. They're spirit guides, so they're helping me in my process, helping other people. We had when she did channeling for me, there was a time where one of my angels came through, or my higher spirit guides, Marisha, and I got the feeling that was emanating from her, and the whole room was just filled with love. And it was so strong, so powerful. It's like, oh my God, the whole time she was doing it, I was just smiling and just listening, and I just felt love. That was one of the most beautiful things that I've ever experienced with her.
How do you assist your mother? I mean, what do you do?
Well, when we do the channeling, when we do seances, What I do is I walk people through what's going to happen.
Okay.
I will explain to them what could happen, the things that we do with the cleansing of their aura.
Okay. Sounds like this is something you ought to be explaining as we do. We should probably get into this. I was going to ask you one other thing, and that was, have there been any times when there were glitches, like, ooh, something went wrong, what do I do now to bail Mom out, or?
There's never been a major problem. Just somebody, it's very emotional when people talk with their relatives, people that have crossed over.
I can imagine,
Making sure that they're okay with what's going on. If somebody is moving too fast for the spirits, asking them to slow down. I've been working with her for a few years now, so right now everything's great. But in the beginning it was scary for me because I didn't know what to expect.
Right.
You know, I didn't want to offend the spirit guides at all.
Didn't take Channeling 101 in school or knew enough.
Right. Right. Or, you know, the person who's seeking the information. So it was very delicate in the beginning.
I would think that if your mother's in trance, it would be important for somebody to be with the client.
Right.
Because we don't know what's going to be said, and yeah, you would have a very important role.
I have to also make sure that they don't offend the spirits.
Right, okay. Well, spirits
Yes.
can probably take it.
In a sense, they can. I mean, they will definitely put their, well, so to say, they'll put their foot down and say, you know, this is inappropriate.
Okay.
But I try to make sure that it doesn't happen. It doesn't get to that extent.
Right.
That's why I try to prepare the people beforehand.
Yeah, we don't want any sleazy questions, or we don't want any kind of, well, I don't know, what kinds of things would you?
This is not play. This
Right.
is honoring and respecting the spirits. It's like having the Pope in your home, something like that, you know, or just having God. It's like, why would you say something inappropriate?
Right.
You know, if people think it's a game, then, you know, I certainly would not ever want to waste my time and energy. You know, I don't play with this, you know, and nor do I want them to waste their time or energy or anything like that.
So you're
with
here
total respect.
to guide them in those ways that you're describing. Would we like to do this now? And see,
Sure,
have a demonstration of people. I mean, we've kind of explained it as far as I think we can go. The next thing would be, I would think, would be to actually see what a session is like. And
Okay, and so then Terry can share when she helps with the cleansing. You know, did you want to show Michael what to do, how we do this with the aura? We can just do a little bit of that and the...
Okay. That'll work.
we're all in kindergarten here, so explain to us what you're going to do.
Without standing up.
Yeah, just go
Okay.
ahead and let Michael go around his own, or you can
Okay.
do that.
What do you have here?
Sage.
Okay.
We burn sage, and we basically smudge. What you're doing is cleaning your aura. This will get rid of any negativity, any entities that could be hanging on to you for whatever reason.
As opposed to tobacco, grass, or why are we using sage?
Sage.
Sage is the herb that...
Thank you.
It's a purifier,
Okay.
and it removes negative energy. And also, when you're doing a seance or any sort of
Is it from the
clearing...
American Indian tradition, or does it go back further to
It,
India?
it,
or?
you know, I don't know how far it goes back, but it does go with the American Indians for sure.
Okay.
When you're doing this kind of spiritual work, you want the whole area cleansed and purified. And you also want, for anyone that's sitting down with you, you want their energy field cleansed as well. So we do that, you know, for anyone that's sitting down, Terry, myself, we're going to clean, we're going to purify.
So it's really kind of like getting yourself ready. If the Pope or some other great religious figure were to come to your home, you would want to clean up your home, clean up the environment, clean up yourself, and get ready
Everything,
for it. So
yeah.
that's really what we're doing, except
To purify. And I would
spiritual
just even
level.
say, just for God to come through. Yeah.
Okay. So what do we do now?
Okay, what I would normally do is I would have the person stand in front of me with their arms stretched out so I can get every crevice, every area, and just make sure that the smoke penetrates your aura.
Okay.
which this is not lit very well. So in doing that, you will go ahead and make sure you get around your arm, you will get your legs. When I'm cleaning people, cleansing people, I will say the Our Father while I'm doing it for extra protection.
This is where the expression holy smokes comes from?
You know what, I think that's exactly where it came from.
Yeah, when the spirits come through, you say, holy smokes, it's Aunt Martha.
Yes.
Excuse me.
Okay.
So I should do the same.
Yes.
Okay.
Let's clean your
Go
whole.
around myself.
Yes.
Oh,
I just
boy.
want to mention when I'm clearing my
Gonna go
throat
home.
right now, that wasn't a spirit, that was me.
Oh, okay. I'm going to smell like a bonfire here.
Yes.
Just about to run out. Must be. Am I absorbing smoke? Is that what's happening?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And this has nothing to do with the 1960s, okay?
No. It smells like it does, but
And
it
yet,
doesn't.
there have been some spiritual groups that have done.
Back in the 1960s.
They have done some meditation where they burn sage at hotels for these really big, beautiful spiritual groups and stuff. And I'll tell you that one time the police were called in because they thought it was a different herb.
Yes. One of those herbs that we inhale.
Yes.
All right. It does smell like a bonfire, like a
Yes,
good
it does.
bonfire in the autumn.
Okay.
Okay, next what do we have?
Next we have Florida
Do we get to
water.
drink
No.
Oh, okay.
No, no, no.
I
This
knew
is
that.
another. This is another cleansing mechanism. Take some, pour some in your hand, and this is something else you want to go ahead and just
This is
put
called
over
Florida water.
Florida water.
It's from Florida?
You know, I'm not sure that if it's from Florida or not, but it's a cologne.
I know we don't have it in Wisconsin, so it's not Wisconsin water.
You just don't go to the right stores.
Oh, that's it. So this is another thing that purifies the aura.
Yes.
Its fragrance does.
This,
What does
well,
it?
this specific
What's
Florida
in it?
water does.
Is it water or what is it?
Alcohol, water, fragrances, and colors. And I'm not quite sure why that one's so special, but it's something that I was introduced to years ago.
Colors. It's pretty clear to me, but okay.
It's blue color and yellow color.
Oh, okay.
Numbers. Not for ingestion. Okay. So that's what
Okay.
we do. And then what we start off with doing is,
Yeah, step 3.
and we
What's
have
next?
Okay.
now normally, you know, I'll do my
Okay, we have a modern cross of a crucifixion. made out
cross,
of
always a white candle
spikes and nails.
for purity. Well,
Okay.
that's just, yeah.
Rather interesting.
Yes, and then I, of course, have said, you know, my prayers, and when I'm going into the altered state, then I start doing my prayer work, and then Terry will let you know when it's time. Okay?
Do you want to tell us what's happening as this is?
This is where she's energizing her chakras.
Okay.
Okay, and this is basically where she will be leaving her body and allowing the spirit to come in, and spirit guides, excuse me. Her eyes will sometimes twitch or flutter. Her facial expressions will change. She will clear her throat. When all of this is happening, that is when the spirit guide is basically coming through and trying to get familiarized in her body.
Okay.
Because they are coming from a place, right now you can see her eyes twitching.
All right, the camera. Yeah, the camera's got it. Okay.
Okay. They come from a place, of course, it's non-physical. So they have to readjust themselves. Some have come from or have been in a physical body before. Some have not. So this either is familiarizing themselves with this, or, you know, getting familiarized for the first time.
Wow.
You know, in a physical being.
I guess that would be kind of strange. I mean, if I were... The sniffing is part of it.
Yes.
I suppose if I were to crawl inside of a caterpillar or a worm or something, that would feel strange too. So I suppose for a non-entity from some realm to come into a human body that they're not used to, I guess it would be an adjustment period.
Yes. And her voice does change. very interesting, very fascinating.
Debar.
Okay.
Now that was a different voice right then.
Yes. They just asked me to take her bracelet off because it was constricting. So,
Okay.
and they have, when we've done the channeling before, if they need something, if they being the spirit guides need something for either Jorianne's physical body or something for them, they will ask me to do it. I was asked, excuse me, to cleanse her feet, to get a wash rag with a bowl of water and cleanse her feet, that she needed the moisture, and
Wow.
on her hands as well.
Uh-huh. Wow.
Yes.
Can we both ask questions?
No.
Ah.
No, this is a process that takes a little time. So she's close. The spirit will be talking soon. They will let us know when she's ready.
I mean, when she is ready, can
Right.
we both ask questions?
No, well, you can, as long as it's taking turns, I guess.
Okay.
If you had a specific question, you can ask it and then wait for the response. And then I'll ask.
All right.
It seems to be we are ready. Good day.
Hello.
You can greet the spirit.
Greetings. Who are we talking with?
Ra-ha.
Welcome, Raha.
It is my pleasure.
First, I'd like to make you aware that we are taping this particular session, which will be shown on what we call cable access in Chicago. Are you aware of that?
I was aware of it before you were.
Okay. Accept that. As we enter the year 2000, is there anything that you would like to say about the new millennium and for the people of Chicago?
It is to be said that we're coming into a great time of change. There will be things that were only thought of before that will be coming into manifestation. People need to prepare themselves for many great things that are coming. And to say, suspend disbelief, that is the most important thing. People cannot stay stuck in what they once believed, for it will no longer serve them over the next 6, 7, 8 years. Things will be changing rapidly, and there will be some earth changes coming as well. And this is what we are preparing for.
So the time of transition in getting into the year 2000 wasn't just over a day or two. We have a lot more years of transition that we're still experiencing or we'll be going through.
Yes.
Can you tell us what some of the new things are that we should be looking for, that we are to suspend disbelief
Time
on?
and space travel will be altered.
Wow.
As is already and is not being spoken of, as well as the cloning processes that have begun. And there will be more angels and entities that will be working with each person to help them raise their vibrations.
You spoke of earth changes. Will some of those changes involve the Chicago area?
Yes, eventually. Not at this moment. Around this planet, there will be some mass that will go into the water as it is time for the earth will break apart, you might say. And it is just a process of what the earth has gone through in the past and will just repeat itself. So in that sense, there will be some loss.
It's getting a bit scary. What are we to do to prepare for this, or what?
When people are in touch with themselves and their higher selves, they know precisely what to do and where to go. Many of these changes will not happen right away, and many of the changes are meant to happen specifically at a certain time. Those who are supposed to make the changes will know and then will do thus.
Okay, Raha, why have you come to speak through Jorianne? What is your specific purpose?
Partly to help her to help to teach, to help to raise the awarenesses of others who are in the process of transition. This is the time of great change, and many people are aware. From the 1950s to the 1980s and 90s, there has been major change in people's awarenesses and spiritual growth. And this is what we are coming for, is to help people get out of the unconscious state that they have been living in into a state of conscious awareness and responsibility for their choices. And what are they doing with their lives and their spiritual life?
Okay.
And what responsibilities do they have to this earth to help maintain the sacredness of this earth and to keep it balanced? And that we are all supposed to be working together in harmony and to bring the peace and balance back where it belongs.
Okay, thank you.
And this cannot be done with the anger and aggression that is being haphazardly displaced, but rather by taking any and all negative energy and transmuting it to make the changes.
it'd be wonderful to spend another hour. This program is rapidly coming to a close, and so we thank you very much for being with us, Raha. And we would like to possibly do this again, if that's okay with you.
It is my pleasure.
It was ours too. Thank you.
Great peace and blessings be with you.
And with you.
And with you.
Thank you. You too.
Okay. Now,
So now what's going to happen is basically Raha's going to leave and Jorianne's going to come back. And that takes a few moments. And you will see Jorianne just moving and getting back into her body.
I really would like to do an entire session with this. I mean, I had questions like the very serious one that I asked at the beginning, all the way down to, you know, who's going to win the Super Bowl tomorrow.
Right.
But
right.
I just feel like we're just in the beginning, and everything she says raises 10,000 more questions that you just want to continue to explore and to explore.
A good channeling session takes about an hour. So,
And we only had a few minutes. It's,
right. Right.
But at least that gives everybody a taste as to what it can be like.
Yes.
And I'm sure, you know, in a channeling session, in a private session, people have a lot of personal questions that they probably want to ask, and a lot of wisdom could come through.
Yes. When somebody calls for channeling, it's always good that they have questions, that they know who they'd like to contact, if there is a dead relative or friend, someone specific, or if they want to talk with their spirit guides and they just want general information. You know, what can you tell me? What do I need to learn right now? What do I need to know? You know, is there a certain path that I've been taking? Should I be taking another path? And she's back.
Welcome back. How
Now
was
I'm
it?
back. It was good.
Actually, we have 1 minute left in that brief amount of time.
I'm still just a little bit off, but it's good. Yes.
Is there anything you'd like to, I know this is a real, besides the readings that you usually give, this is one area that is really also very close to you in terms of your wanting to help others. Any final thing you'd like to say about this process?
I just hope that people seriously will take their spirituality serious. You know, people should learn meditation. You know, you don't have to go to a psychic all the time. You don't have to go to anyone else. All you need to do is, you know, do your prayer and your meditation, and that's your connection with God.
Okay, well, thank you, Jorianne and Terry, for being with us today. This has been River West Flowing and the Presence of Other Worlds. Thank you for watching. I guess that's what you say.
Present cui omnia vivunt, venite adoremus. Present cui omnia vivunt, venite adoremus. Venite soltemus Domino, jubilemus Deo salutabimus. Preoccupemus faciem meius in confessione, et in psalmi